If you're a network administrator, you know the deal. Every single packet flowing through your network could be a threat. You absolutely need a guard at the gate, right? But what kind of guard do you hire? Do you want one that just watches everything, takes notes, and reports back? Or do you need one that's going to actively step in and stop trouble before it starts? Well, that is the core question we're tackling today. Detection versus prevention. Let's break it down. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll meet our two main contenders using a simple analogy, the watcher versus the bouncer. Then we'll dig into why their placements in the network changes everything. After that, we'll look at how they actually spot threats, put them head-to-head in a direct comparison, and finally, help you figure out the best defense strategy for your own network. All right, let's get right to it and meet our contenders. In one corner, we've got the watchful eye of detection, and in the other, the strong arm of prevention. First up is the Intrusion Detection System, or IDS. Just think of this as your network's dedicated watcher. It is a completely passive monitoring tool. Its entire job is to observe all the traffic, identify anything that looks suspicious or malicious, and then, it generates an alert for you, the admin, to go investigate. It sees the problem, it raises the alarm, but that's it. It doesn't actually step in to stop anything. And now let's meet the Intrusion Prevention System, or IPS. This is the bouncer. It is not passive at all. It's a very active security control. And IPS also detects threats, just like its cousin, the IDS. But the key difference, and it's a huge one, is that it's designed to take immediate action. It can block malicious packets, it can drop entire connections, it can even reconfigure firewalls on the fly to stop an attack dead in its tracks. So one watches and one acts. But what actually allows for this difference? I mean, why can one step in and the other can't? Well, it all comes down to a single, absolutely critical factor: where they're placed within the network. Okay, take a look at this, because this diagram really shows their different philosophies perfectly. Over on the left, you see the IDS. It's deployed out of band. See how it's connected to a SPAN port on the switch? It gets a copy of all the live network traffic, so it's analyzing everything in what we call promiscuous mode, but it's not actually in the way. Now contrast that with the IPS on the right. It's inline. It sits directly in the path of all traffic. Every single packet coming in or going out has to flow right through the IPS to be processed, and that position is what gives it the power to actually act. So they act differently because of where they sit. But how do they both decide what's a threat in the first place? Well, it turns out they're often reading from the very same security playbook. Both of these systems really have two main tools in their arsenal. They can either look for criminals they already know, that's what we call signature-based detection, or they can watch out for anyone who's just acting suspiciously, even if they've never seen them before. And that's anomaly-based detection. Signature-based detection is pretty straightforward. It's like having a fingerprint database of known criminals. The system compares all the incoming traffic against this huge library of known attack patterns, or signatures. It's incredibly accurate and really, really good at catching well-known attacks. But there's a major drawback. If a brand new, never-before-seen, zero-day attack comes along, the system has no signature for it, so it'll just let it pass right on through. And that's exactly where anomaly-based detection comes into play. See, instead of looking for known bad stuff, it focuses on learning what's normal for your specific network. It establishes a baseline of typical behavior, what protocols are usually used, how much traffic is normal, who typically talks to whom. Then, it flags any significant deviation from that baseline as a potential threat. The huge advantage here is its ability to spot novel, unknown attacks. The downside, though, is that it can sometimes generate false positives, flagging legitimate but unusual activity, which can create a ton of alert fatigue. Okay, we've covered all the key concepts. Now it's time to put these two systems side by side for a direct, head-to-head showdown. So this table really sums it all up. Look at the placement. IDS is out of band, IPS is inline. That directly affects the action. IDS is passive, it only sends alerts, while the IPS is active and can actually block threats. This, in turn, defines the response. The IDS is reactive, it acts after something's detected, while the IPS is proactive, responding in real time. And this right here brilliantly illustrates the risk. A false positive on an IDS is just an annoying alert, but a false positive on an IPS? Well, that could block legitimate business traffic. So their goals are literally in their names: detection versus prevention. And this all leads us directly to their core trade-offs. The big advantage of an IDS is that since it's out of band, it has zero negative impact on your network's performance or availability. I mean, if it fails, your network just keeps on running. But the flip side is that it's always one step behind and can't stop those really fast single-packet attacks. An IPS, on the other hand, can stop those attacks in real time. But because every packet has to go through it, it can become a performance bottleneck. And if that IPS appliance fails, your network goes down with it. Hard stop. So, we've seen the pros and the cons. With all that in mind, how do you actually build the right defense strategy for your network? And what does the future even hold for these tools? When you're making this decision, you've really got to weigh several factors. You have to ask yourself, what does my network topology look like? How sensitive is my business to performance hits or, worse, potential downtime? How much time and energy do we have for tuning the system to cut down on false positives? And maybe most importantly, how will this thing integrate with our other security tools, like our SIEM? These are all absolutely critical questions. And these technologies are not standing still. The modern era has brought us things like next-generation IPS, or NG-IPS, which adds deep packet inspection and application awareness. Machine learning is making that anomaly detection we talked about way more intelligent and adaptive. And you don't even need a physical box anymore. Both IDS and IPS are now widely available as virtual appliances and even as cloud-native services. The bottom line is, these systems are just getting smarter, more flexible, and more integrated than ever before. So we come back to where we started, detection or prevention. But what if that question is actually outdated? What if it's no longer detection or prevention? For most modern businesses, the conversation has totally shifted. The real answer isn't choosing one, but artfully combining the deep visibility of the watcher with the decisive power of the bouncer. So the new question is this: how do you best integrate both into a layered, defense-in-depth strategy?